Hey guys, Lord X is here, bringing you kind of a part 2-ish on the combat video I did the other day. Before we get into it, I'd like to go over one thing I forgot in that video, and that was parry cancels. So this is something that was added in Warriors of the Sky and can be used if you're playing that version and up. So again, any version that's not the vanilla of the game. And all you do for this is you just parry during an SSC. And it doesn't have to be just your normal parry. It can be banishment, it can be perfect guard, depending on what your build is. And the deceiving thing about this is it doesn't have to be done during the blue flash, which is what I initially thought. It can be done at any point. So if I use a big... I actually don't know if it can be done on ultimates, but if you do so during a bigger skill, typically... Yeah, you can't do it during ults, but typically if you're doing it during a bigger skill, you can pull out of it. And it doesn't have to be done during those moments. You can just kind of throw it out, and if it connects, it won't cancel your sword skill connect, and you can continue where you were with the combo. That said, so there are a couple more options you have during an SSC that I wanted to go over. And the biggest one is evasion. So we did just talk about parry, that is one option, but when parrying isn't a good option, you have your default dash. It is in the game by default, it gets upgraded after the Salvatos ruins, and it is literally your best friend in most situations. Now what's interesting about this is it can be done during combos. So if I hit these guys here, and I don't want to attack him yet, but it looks like it's happening nonetheless, you can still dash out of it and it doesn't stop your combo. So if I'm over here with 5 FSCs, I back flip out, I go, and then I'm still going and my combo is still moving. So evasion and movement are two of your better options. You need to make sure you're doing that. I know this cuts abruptly, but now we're going to talk about the importance of switching. And while it may not be super important late game, it can be pretty life-saving early game, especially if you're playing multiplayer and on the harder difficulties. And while, once again, it's still not quite as important as, say, it was in Hollow Fragment, but basically it gets rid of your aggro and gives it to your partner. That, and it costs like nothing to do, and it's a free stun move even if you're playing solo. So there's really not a bad time to use a switch, especially because it cuts out of everything and interrupts every conceivable animation. And what's even better is this can be used to trigger the Hollow Synchronizer if you're in a 2-person party, which I'm a weirdo and I prefer to play that way. But we'll get to 4-person allied skills in a bit. So first and foremost, when we're going to do the switch, and I'm going to show you more or less how to perform the Hollow Synchronizer with 2 people. And in the most recent update on the PlayStation 4, which for the, what time is it now in this video, will be available to do by default in the Switch version and on PC. So what we're going to do here is we're going to activate the switch after hitting with this, and my partner is going to rush in and use a sword skill. And simply you just need to land a sword skill while the animation is still active. Now if you see the command I have that just says attack on the left part for the right button on the D-pad, in the most recent update they actually changed this so it has about a 3-second, if even, cooldown time. So you can basically spam it to oblivion and just continuously land on the attacks. And normally, if you are in a full-person party, like with all 4 people, you'd want to use skills to do the all-out attack, and then everybody would take a turn one by one, and it will just do the full, all levels of the Hollow Synchronizer, I believe, up to Falstrom Aster, if not all the way to Infinity Moment. So it is a lot harder to do with 2 people, but I feel your damage comes out a lot more, especially if both characters have specific builds. So enough of my mumbling, let's see if we can get this to land. So we're going to attack him, we're going to let him get weak. Now I'm going to switch, pull out, she's going to attack, I'm going to land that, then I'm going to spam that, have her attack again. Oh, she's not doing it, so attack at the same time. Hollow Synchronizer. So now we're going to want to start spamming this. Am I going to have to play with this? Sacred Spectrum. Alright, so once you get Sacred Spectrum to land, you just keep spamming that and constantly hit, and you should just be able to keep layering it on. An infinity moment. And in early game, the Hollow Synchronizer is going to be one of your best friends just because it does such ludicrous amounts of damage. And it just basically annihilates anything. Like, it'll basically save up the multiplication damage of whatever combos you had going and just absolutely decimate whatever's in front of you, because it will land, it'll activate, and then you'll just see this massive explosion, which we're not going to see because it's currently not activated, as it just wrecks that opponent. So while we're here, we're also going to talk about mystic skills and why these are neat and decent to have, especially for your partner characters. So first and foremost, a mystic skill is something you do get from Enigma orders. And if you have the mystic skill of the weapon your partner uses, they will have it by default. It just unlocks it for them. So seeing as the only ones I've bothered to get are for dual wields and single hand sword, those are going to be the only ones available to other party members. So if you're using people from the cast, that would be Lifa and Yuki would have those for the single hand sword, and Rain would have it for her dual wielding. So what's important about these is when you do actually perform the allied skill, or the team attack, or everybody attack at once, they will perform the mystic skill if they have it. And these things all have a passive skill on them that adds another, I think, 100 or more damage to every single hit if they're done at the same time. So it can come out doing quite a bit of damage if you understand how to use them correctly and layer them on top of each other. And if you do them in the 4 allied skill super, it's not called a super in this game, X's, basically you can add all that damage on top of it, and it will multiply it on top of your multipliers. So there's really no bad reason to ever throw out a mystic skill, other than they do have a decently large SSC costs. I think it's actually only 80, so there's really, again, there is no bad time to use that at all. So that will about cover it when it comes to the stinking Hollow Synchronizer. So yeah, no, I think that more or less covers most of the basics of combat. I'll probably remember a couple other things and make another part later. But yeah, with that said, guys, keep it real and keep it weird. X us out.